Good morning, everyone. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day weekend. What a very interesting time we live in. And the spring has not disappointed me. With nature, lots of animals, birds are all over the place, traffic's down, air's cleaner. We're going retro in the evolutionary sense. I think that's a good thing. Lots of new stuff coming down the pipe with this virus. I wasn't going to do a session today, but here he is. I wanted to mention the Korean study came up with a lot of good information about its transmissibility and those who test as positive. The world of the virus is a very fascinating world. We can't live without it. It outnumbers us by, millions to one, from my understanding. One of the latest things coming down are the ability of this virus to create new vasculature that kind of ends up in what they call thrombosis, which is a kind of a blood clot. And that is very interesting because that's what cancer does. It creates new vasculature once it, under conditions of anoxia or chronic hypoxia, mostly anoxia, the mass bulges and then it eventually works its way into vascularizing, making veins and arteries. And that's how it takes over the whole system. One way it does it. And so that's a very interesting part of it. A lot of the animals that they are looking at, these are bats and naked rat moles. These things that live underground and can live under very hypoxic conditions. So hypoxia is a common thread here. And we need to keep looking at that. We need to keep looking at the mechanisms of breath. Science and medicine is very disease-based. That means something breaks down, let's study it. Microcephaly in Northeast Brazil, let's study it. Well, let's not just blame it on the mosquitoes so quickly, because all these cases, I keep seeing a lot of them still happening. It's environmental, and I believe it's associated with metals. So in this case, in this disease, in this outbreak, it's not misshapen heads after a 9-month gestation period. It's right in situ, in the situation that low oxygen, hypoxia, anoxia, as this thing gestates in our lungs, is killing us. We can't live without oxygen. We can't survive very well without oxygen. With oxygen, we can thrive, evolve within a human lifespan. And there's more and more research that's coming down the pipe, especially as we compare ourselves to the naked mole rat that lives underground in very, very sustained hypoxic conditions. That is very similar to what's happening in this virus, as well as the bats that are, they're hypoxic too. They're nocturnal. If you look at it, it's all the elements that make them nocturnal and hypoxic, and we are diurnal and oxic. So as the system breaks down, as the cell breaks down, as the oxygen stops being transferred, as we eat too much food and our system is filled with glycolytic, sugar-based particles that get all over our hemoglobin, that is supposed to be, in the evolutionary sense, it's supposed to be transferring oxygen. And it still does to an extent, but there's nothing that's taking care of that glucose. There's nothing really that's taking care of all that excess glucose. What happens to that glucose? Well, it turns into something called pyruvate. We need a little bit of it. We can get it from our fat cells if we have to, and a little bit of sugar, carbohydrates, starch, all that stuff eventually creates a pyruvate that goes into the mitochondria. eventually binds with oxygen, nuclear fuel, and water. Nuclear fuel and water. What does that tell you? Let's look at this, the simple science of it, as far as I can see it. And I don't know, lucky me, I got to go back to neuroscience and study these on the crest of all this decade of the brain. I was there day one. I was there a few weeks before day one. And that's what I've learned. One breath at a time. Getting that oxygen gradient, you have none of these problems we're seeing in the cases that are dying from this. So as I see it, this virus is moving in on people who are completely glycolytic, for the most part, obese, comorbid, aging, having a lifetime of, oh my gosh, sound, sirens, noise, stress, too much to do, no time to breathe. Well, we have time to make time to breathe now. Yay! So again, if we look at the, I don't have my whiteboard here, obviously, but if we look how this glucose when the glucose comes in and we're saturated, we're eating all the time, it's all over the place, and the mitochondria don't take care of that glucose. When the glucose breaks down, it creates pyruvate. It takes care of pyruvate, but we don't need too much of it. We need the oxygen. In the process of the glucose breaking down, it releases a little bit of energy, like 2 ATPs, to make the pyruvate. 2 or 4, 2, and that's 2, 4, 2. Because there's 2 of everything it makes. It's funny that way. So, but once that pyruvate slips into the mitochondria, with oxygen, we get 36. All right, how does the oxygen get there? It gets transported by the hemoglobin, by the heme and the hemoglobin in the red blood cell. Red blood cell, hemoglobin, and 4 hemes inside, 4 of them. And they love to take on oxygen, loves to bind to it. And they love to bind to oxygen. And there are millions in each red blood cell. Millions of hemes. Seems like a lot to me, but when I hear these scientists talk about it, the potential to unload oxygen is massive, massive. And we are totally underusing that as humans. Why? Because we are stressed out. And honked horns, siren to the ends, forcing our way through life, pushing. We're not breathing. That's why we need exercise. We need to sit back and, hang out with the tribe, with the herd, and just, learn and be passive. Many ways to practice this. And we can do it as smart people and just saying, wow, I realize I need oxygen. I realized this before I started my first seminar in neuroscience. Take a breath. Just the number 1, stay oxygenated. Number 2, show up. Number 3, don't let anything frighten you. Just stay away from the fear. That's what closes it down. That's what hunkers it down and forces the system to start cutting things out. And how it cuts it out? By low oxygen. Low oxygen starts all these systems that slice stuff away. And it happens from day 1 of bad parenting. Day 1 of bad parent, shaming a child. They cut stuff away. We've got to stop the bad parenting in this world. Ooh, it's a big statement, isn't it? Parenting lessons, imagine. So, yeah, let's imagine it. You imagine it, it can come. It can happen. So I've been imagining it for years. Also mentoring, good mentoring, healthy mentoring. How do you mentor? Go mentor. Learn how and go. How do you parent? Learn how and do it. So the low oxygen wow, creates carbon. There's a lot of carbon dioxide. There's also the proton-based H2O negative. Gosh, there are all these terms for it, but they're antioxidants. I study oxygenation. What happens with an oxygenated brain? What is fueled? How do networks combine? How do you learn function of this and that? How do you do something flawlessly, almost on the first time? Make a couple corrections, and there it goes, just steams ahead. Any number of things. Not that you're a master, but you're on the way, and you can learn from the masters. And music can accompany the process, can settle the physiology or activate the physiology to kind of bolster your energy reserve, because music is energy. Music is free energy. I've got some beautiful music going this morning. I should turn it back on. Very settling for this time of day. Helps us wake up, gives us free energy, but not too rhythmic, doesn't bump us up too quickly. It's all science. And this virus has moved in on our hypoxic, low oxygen, not so much hydrated, and bad eating habits, like over gross eating habits. And all that food is also destroying our planet. All the deforestation, all the methane from the animals, the meat that we eat is contributes to this environmental crisis of the air, and it's bad. So we have a chance to regroup here, and we are regrouping. I feel it, we sense it, it's obvious. The birds are loving it. Do you hear the birds around here? They're just going at it. Every once in a while a car goes by. I live on a very busy street. I don't remember ever hearing, but rarely, not like this. Not like this. Everything's in lush. Seems to be doing a lot better as we pare it down. So let's be grateful for what we're getting from this, what we're learning from this. Again, an oxygenated lungs. The lungs go all the way up to your shoulders, right? We don't use that too much. They're kind of small. The big part's down the bottom. Remember those rowing breaths we had that pulls that diaphragm up? And the over your head breath that pulls the ribs up? It takes 2 to 3 seconds for oxygen to diffuse into a red blood cell. And there are many layers from the capillaries, from the alveoli, coming down to actually getting into the heme. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Then on the exhale, you can do some amazing things that are very precision. So we fuel the directives with slow, held breaths. Let's try that again. Lift those ribs. That's good enough. And then hold it. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. And as that red blood cell passes by in the plasma, at the bottom of the chain there, it loves to take on all of the oxygen. All 4 of the hemes love it. It's very community friendly. I forget the name of it. It's a communal thing. If someone's sitting at a table, you sit down. If you're 2 people sitting, 2 other people come and sit down. They come to your table. That's how it is in the heme and with oxygen. It's very exciting. It's exciting because it is the solution. Proxia, ultroxia, thrival, evolving within a human lifespan, and understanding that it's simple as got a mourning dove sitting right there, looking at me, and I'm looking at him. Hello. They usually fly away. But when you're oxygenated, the animals seem to know it too. Because we have a frequency. There it goes. Frequency and energy. My dog jumped out. So the oxygenated cell, the oxygenated lungs, the held, sustained breath goes into the heme that has 250 50,000 hemoglobins inside. That's hard to believe. And they're free mitochondria in there too. That's rolling it in the blood cells. Wow. I mean, the mitochondria host us. And this COVID-19 is moving in as a new host. Maybe. I hate to hypothesize that or theorize on that, but we are so glycolytic. We have so moved away from our evolutionary paradigm of oxygen more than anything. That's the fuel. And oxygen, when it comes to the mitochondria, it slips in there and it makes water. So we can live not too long without water, but in the process, we've got lots of oxygen on the planet. That oxygen goes in and makes water. So in a way, theoretically, I don't understand how that happens, but it does. It keeps us hydrated. And we can live 5 weeks without food. And that food is stored in fat cells. And so a little bit of food comes in, makes the pyruvate. The oxygen enables the process that creates water. You see, oxygen and a little bit of food, then we tank up with water. I'm not sure if it's the same kind of water as excited dog over here. Harvey, come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Come say hi. It's a holiday. Come here. You need to be wearing a red, white, and blue. Here's my dog Harvey, and he is very hyperreactive. He came from a breeder in Houston during the hurricane, and those early hurricane moments, I got him when he was 5 months. He is extremely hyperreactive, and that is an environmental shaping, and it's hard to rewire that. I don't know if he has the cuckoo to rewire it. And he's very affectionate. Look at that. He's a good boy. He's a very beautiful animal, but he's very hyperreactive, and it's a problem. It's a problem. So, and it's Bath Day, isn't it, Harvey? So happy Memorial Day, everyone. We'll keep talking about these very important findings and how important. Please remember, try it. Take a deep breath and think, I can trust this. I really can trust this. And it makes your mitochondria strong. Oxygen is what they do. And when there's no oxygen, they kind of get sick and die. And that's what this virus seems to be opportunizing upon. Peace and joy to everyone. I made this Afghan. This is a oxygenated effort. This is the 4th one I made. I've just got material to make a 5th one. I love it. It makes itself. It's 35 different granny squares. I have a lot of hobbies from an oxygenated trajectory and a basic understanding of neuroscience. Come join me. Stay with me. Let's see the world change and be a part of it. We're learning from this. What a gift. And bless the poor souls who have passed. And it's a sacrifice for us to have this gift. Stay strong. Manganese, not magnesium, manganese provides extra potential for oxygen outside the lungs. And it's like an arsenal for your mitochondria. So please order some. Start taking it. Make sure you're taking it. Stay oxygenated. And start thinking about your diet. I'm having to do that myself. Peace. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. It's a long breath, isn't it? Press it into the lungs. Singing does it perfectly for us. And I'm pushing out the carbon dioxide too. I could keep singing, but I won't. I should keep singing, but I won't. Have a great day. Happy Memorial Day. Blessings, and I hope to talk to you en masse as we move along. Peace and joy.